What is the Bhagavad Gita? The Bhagavad Gita is the word of God in Farsi. It is the divine conversation between man called Arjuna and God himself in human form, Lord Krishna. The conversation took place in Kurukshetra more than 5,000 years ago. Bhagavad Gita answers all important questions of who are we, who is God, why do we suffer, is there life after death, is there life on other planets, how do we become and remain happy in this and the next life, how can we attain the kingdom of God. This is the narration of Bhagavad Gita verses published by Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. English translation from the Sanskrit version by His Divine Grace AC.Bhaktibidhanta Swami Pravupada. Narrated by the Bhagavad. One may ask what led to the great war on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, where the Bhagavad Gita was spoken. More than 5,000 years ago, the great king Vichitrabriya passed away. Because his elder son Dhritarashtra was born blind and thus not fit for the rule, Pandu, the younger son, inherited the kingdom. After the death of King Pandu, his 5 sons, known as the Pandavas, became the lawful inheritor of the kingdom. As the Pandavas were still the boys, Dhritarashtra ascended the throne for himself. Dhritarashtra had 100 sons, known as the Kauravas. When the Pandavas were ready to rule the kingdom, they did not want the entire kingdom for themselves, which was rightfully theirs. They were willing to share the kingdom with their cousin. Thus the kingdom was divided into 2 halves between the Pandavas and the Kauravas. Duryodhana, the eldest of the Kauravas, was not satisfied with his share. He wanted to enjoy the entire kingdom for himself. He made several attempts to kill the Pandavas but was unsuccessful. He then unlawfully took the possession of the entire kingdom and forced the Pandavas into the exile. The Pandavas then requested to give just 5 villages, 1 for each brother. To this, Duryodhana replied that he would not give them enough land to stick a pin into. Lord Krishna pleaded for peaceful, non-violent resolution of this land dispute, but Duryodhana rejected him and declared war on the Pandavas. The big war of Mahabharata was thus inevitable. In preparation of the war, both Duryodhana and Arjuna approached Lord Krishna for help. Krishna, as God himself, would not turn anyone who approached him for help, be they be good or wicked. Lord Krishna offered his entire army to one side and himself as advisor to the other side. Duryodhana snapped Lord Krishna's army and Arjuna was eager for Lord himself as his advisor. Thus, Lord Krishna became the advisor and charioteer to Arjuna. Arjuna faced the dilemma in the battlefield whether to fight for his right or run away from the war and let the evil and the wicked son of Dhritarashtra rule the kingdom. Chapter 1. Observing the armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjaya, after my son and the son of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do? Sanjaya said, O king, after looking over the army arranged in military formation by the son of Pandu, King Duryodhana went on to his teacher and spoke the following words. O my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupada. Here in this army are my heroic bowmen equal in fighting to Bhima and Arjuna, great fighter like Yudhama, Virata and Drupada. There are also great heroic powerful fighters like Drishtaketu, Chekithana, Kasiraja, Purujita, Kunchibhoja and Saibhya. There are the mighty Yudhamanyu, the very powerful Uttamauja, the son of Subhadra, the son of Draupadi. All these warriors are great chariot fighters. But for your information, O best of the Brahmanas, let me tell you about the captains who are specially qualified to lead my military. There are personalities like Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Aswasthama, Vikarna and the son of Somadatta called Bhurishrava who are always victorious in battle. There are many other heroes who are prepared to lay down their lives for my sake. All of them are well equipped with different kind of weapon, and all are experienced in military science. Our strength is immeasurable, and we are perfectly protected by Grandfather Bhishma, whereas the strength of the Pandavas, carefully protected by Bhim, is limited. All of you must now give support to Grandfather Bhishma as you stand at your respective strategic point of entrance into the phalanx of the army. Then Bhishma, the great valiant grandsire of the Kuru dynasty, the grandfather of the fighter, blew his conch shell very loudly, making a sound like the roar of a lion, giving Duryodhana joy. After that, the conch shell, drums, bugles, trumpets and horns were all suddenly sounded, and the combined sound was tumultuous. On the other side, both Lord Krishna and Arjuna, stationed on a great chariot drawn by white horses, sounded their transcendental conch shells. Lord Krishna blew his conch shell called Panchajanya. Arjuna blew his the Devadatta. Bhima, the voracious eater and performer of the Herculean task, blew his terrific conch shell called Paundra. King Yudhishthira, the son of Kunti, blew his conch shell, the Ananta Vijaya, and the Nakul and Sahadev blew the Sugosha and Manipuspaka. That great Arjsire, the king of Kashi, the great fighter Shikhandi, Drishtadhumna, Virata, the unconquerable Satyaki, Shikhandi, unconquerable Satyaki, Draupad, the son of Draupadi, and the others, O king, such as the mighty armed son of Subhadra, all blew their respective conch shells. The blowing of this different conch shell became uproarious, vibrating both in the sky and the earth. It shattered the heart of son of Dhritarashtra. At this time, Arjuna, the son of Pandu, seated in the chariot, bearing the flag marked with Hanuman, took up his bow and prepared to shoot his arrow. O king, after looking at the son of Dhritarashtra, drawn in military array, Arjuna then spoke to Lord Krishna these words. Arjuna said, O infallible one, please draw my chariot between the two armies, so that I may see those present here who desire to fight and with whom I must contend in the great trial of arms. Let me see those who have come here to fight, wishing to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra. Sanjaya said, O descendant of Bharata, having thus been addressed by Arjuna, Lord Krishna drew up the fine chariot in the midst of the armies of both parties. In the presence of Bhishma, Drona and all other chieftains of the world, the Lord said, Just behold, Partha, all Kurus assembled here. There Arjuna could see, within the midst of the armies of both parties, his father, his grandfather, his teachers, maternal uncle, brothers, sons, grandsons, friends, and also his father-in-laws and well-wishers. When the son of Kunti, Arjuna, saw all these different grades of friends and relatives, he became overwhelmed with compassion and spoke thus. Arjuna said, My dear Krishna, seeing my friends and relatives present before me in such a fighting spirit, I feel the limbs of my body quivering and my mouth drying up. My whole body is trembling, my hair is standing on end, my bow Gandiva is slipping from my hand, and my skin is burning. I am now unable to stand here any longer. I am forgetting myself and my mind is reeling. I see only cause of misfortune, O Krishna, killer of the Keshi demon. I do not see how any good can come from killing my own kinsman in this battle, nor can I, my dear Krishna, desire any subsequent victory, kingdom, or happiness. O Govinda, of what avail to us are a kingdom, happiness, or even life itself, when all those of whom we may desire them are now added on this battlefield? O Madhusudan, when teachers, fathers, sons, grandfather, maternal uncle, father-in-laws, grandsons, brother-in-laws, and other relatives are ready to give up their life and properties and are standing before me, why should I wish to kill them, even though they might otherwise kill me? O maintainer of all living entities, I am not prepared to fight with them, even in exchange for the three worlds, let alone this earth. What pleasure will we derive from killing the sons of Dhritarashtra? Sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. Therefore, it is not proper for us to kill the son of Dhritarashtra and our friends. What should we gain, O Krishna, husband of the goddess of the fortune? And how could we be happy by killing our own kinsman? O Janardana, although these men, their heart overtaken by greed, see no fault in killing one's family or quarreling with friend, why should we, who can see the crime in destroying a family, engage in this act of sin? With the destruction of the dynasty, the eternal family tradition is vanquished, and thus the rest of the family become involved in irreligion. When irreligion is prominent in the family, O Krishna, the woman of the family become polluted, and from the degradation of womanhood, O descendant, comes unwanted progeny. An increase of the unwanted population certainly causes hellish life both for the family and for those who destroy the family tradition. The ancestor of such corrupt family fall down, and because the performance for offering them food and water are entirely stopped. By the evil deeds of those who destroy the family tradition and thus give rise to unwanted children, all kind of community project and family welfare activities are devastated. O Krishna, maintainer of the people, I have heard by disciplic succession that those whose family tradition are destroyed dwell always in hell. Alas, how strange is this, that we are preparing to commit greatly sinful act, driven by the desire to enjoy royal happiness. We are intent on killing our own kinsman. Better for me if the sons of Dhritarashtra, weapons in hand, were to kill me unarmed and unresisting on the battlefield. Sanjaya said, Arjuna, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrows and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. Chapter 2. Contents of the Gita summarized. Sanjaya said, seeing Arjuna full of compassion, his mind depressed, his eyes full of tears, Madhusudana, Krishna, spoke the following words. The Supreme Personality of the Godhead said, My dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not all befitting a man who knows the values of life. They lead not to higher planet, but to infamy. O son of Pratha, do not yield to this degrading impotence. It doesn't become you. Give up such petty weakness of heart and arise, O chastiser of the enemy. Arjuna said, O killer of enemies, O killer of Madhu, how can I counter-attack with arrows in battlemen like Bhishma and Drona, who are worthy of my worship? It would be better to live in this world by begging than to live at the cost of the life of great soul who are my teacher. Even though desiring worldly gain, they are superiors. If they are killed, everything we enjoyed will be tainted with blood. Nor do we know which is better, conquering them or being conquered by them. If we kill the son of Dhritarashtra, we should not care to live, yet they are now standing before us on the battlefield. Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. I can find no means to drive away this grief which is drying up my senses. I will not be able to dispel it even if I win a prosperous, unraveled kingdom on earth with sovereignty like the demigods in heaven. Sanjaya said, having spoken thus, Arjuna, chastiser of enemies, told Krishna, Govinda, I shall not fight, and fell silent. O descendant of Bharata, at this time Krishna, smiling in the midst of both the armies, spoke the following words to the grief-stricken Arjuna. The Supreme Personality of the Godhead said, while speaking long words, You are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and the disappearance of winter and summer season. They arise from same sense perception, O Scion of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. O best among men, Arjuna, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. Those who are sure of the truth have concluded that the non-existent, the material body, there is no endurance, and the eternal, the soul, there is no change. This is they have concluded by studying the nature of both. That which pervades the entire body you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy the imperishable soul. The material body of the indestructible, immeasurable and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore fight, O descendant of Bharata. Neither he who thinks the living entity, the slayer, nor he who thinks it slain is in knowledge, for the self slays not, nor in slain. For the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. He does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. O Partha, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn, and immutable kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? As a person who puts on new garments, giving up old one, the soul similarly accepts new maternal bodies, giving up the old and the useless ones. The soul can never be cut into pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by rock, nor withered by the wind. This individual soul is unbreakable and insoluble, and can be neither burned nor dried. He is everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. If, however, you think that the soul or the symptom of life will always be born and die forever, you still have no reason to lament, O mighty armed. One who has taken his birth is sure to die, and after death one is sure to take birth again. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament. All created things are unmanifest in their beginning, manifest in their interim stage, and unmanifest again when annihilated. So what need is there for lamentation? Some look on the soul as amazing, some describe him as amazing, and some hear of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. O descendant of Bharata, he who dwells in the body can never be slain. Therefore, you need not grieve on any living beings. Considering your specific duty as Kshatriya, you should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting on a religious principle, and so there is no need for hesitation. O Partha, happy are the Kshatriyas to whom such fighting opportunities come unsought, opening for them the door of heavenly planet. If, however, you do not perform your religious duty of fighting, then you will certainly incur sin for neglecting your duties and thus lose your reputation as a fighter. People will always speak of your infamy, and for a respectable person, dishonor is worse than death. The great general, who have highly esteemed your name and fame, will think that you have left the battlefield out of your fear only, and thus they will consider you insignificant. Your enemies will describe you in many unkind words and scorn your ability. What could be more painful for you? O son of Kunti, either you will be killed on the battlefield and attain the heavenly planet, or you will conquer and enjoy the earthly kingdom. Therefore, get up to the determination and fight. Though thou fight for the sake of fighting without considering happiness or distress, lose or gain, victory or defeat, and by so doing you shall never incur sin. Thus far I have described this knowledge to you through analytical study. Now listen, I explain it in terms of working without fruitive result. O son of Partha, when you act in such knowledgeable, you can free yourself for the bondage of works. In this endeavor there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from most dangerous type of fear. Those who are on this path are resolute in purpose, and their aim is one. O beloved child of the Kurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many-branched. Men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planet, result in good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, they say that there is nothing more than this. In the mind of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination of devotional service to the Supreme Lord doesn't take place. The Vedas deal mainly with the subject of three modes of material nature. O Arjuna, become transcendental to those three modes. Be free from all dualities and from all anxiety for gains and safety, and be established in the self. All purposes served by a small well can at once be served by a great reservoir of water. Similarly, all purposes of Vedas can be served to one who knows the purpose behind them. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself the cause of result of your activities and never be attached to not doing your duty. Perform your duty, equipoised, O Arjuna, abandoning all attachment to the success or failure. Such equanimity is called yoga. O Dhananjaya, keep all abominable activities far distanced by devotional service, and in that consciousness surrender unto the Lord those who want to enjoy the fruit of their work and measures. A man engaged in devotional service rids himself of both good and bad reaction even in this life. Therefore, strive for yoga, which is the art of all work. By thus engaging in devotional service to the Lord, great sages or devotees free themselves from the result of work in the material world. In this way, they become free from the cycle of birth and death and attain the state beyond all miseries by going back to the Godhead. When your intelligence has passed out of the dense forest of delusion, you shall become indifferent to all that has been heard and all that is to be heard. When your mind is no longer disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas, and when it remains fixed in the trance of self-realization, then you will have attained the divine consciousness. Arjuna said, O Krishna, what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus merged in transcendence? How does he speak, and what is his language? How does he sit, and how does he walk? The Supreme Personality of the Godhead said, O Partha, when a man gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification which arise from the mental concoction, and when his mind, thus purified, finds satisfaction in the self alone, and he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. One who is not disturbed in minds even amidst the threefold miseries, or elated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fear and anger, is called a sage of a steady mind. In the material world, one who is unaffected by whatever good or evil he may obtain, neither praising it nor despising it, is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. Through the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense object remain, but ceasing such engagement by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. The senses are so strong and impetuous, O Arjuna, that they force even of a man of discrimination who is endeavoring to control them. One who restrains his senses, keeping them under full control, and fixes his consciousness upon me, is known as man of steady intelligence. While contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them, and from such attachment, lust develops, and from lust, anger arises. From anger, complete delusion arises, and from delusion, bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost, and when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool. But a person free from all attachment and aversion and able to control his senses through regulative principle of freedom can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord. For one thus satisfied in Krishna consciousness, the threefold miseries of material existence exist no longer, and is such satisfied consciousness, one's intelligence is soon established. One who is not connected with the Supreme in Krishna consciousness can have neither transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind, without which there is no possibility of peace, and how can there be any happiness without peace? A person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desire that enters like river into the ocean, which is ever being filled but is always still, can alone achieve peace, not the man who strives to satisfy such desire. A person who has given up all desire for sense gratification, who lives free from desire, who has given up all sense of proprietorship and is devoid of false ego, he alone can attain the real peace. That is the way of spiritual and godly life, after attaining which a man is not bewildered. If one is thus situated, even at the hour of death, one can enter into the kingdom of God. Chapter 3, Karma Yoga. Arjuna said, O Janardhana, O Kesava, why do you want to engage me in this ghastly warfare? If you think that intelligence is better than fruitive work, my intelligence is bewildered by your equivocal instruction. Therefore, please tell me decisively which will be more beneficial for me. The Supreme Personality of the Godhead said, O sinless Arjuna, I have already explained that there are two classes of men who try to realize the self. Some are inclined to understand it by empirical, philosophical speculation, and others by the devotional service. Not by merely abstaining from work one can achieve freedom from reaction, nor by renunciation alone can one attain perfection. Everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities he has acquired from the model of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. One who restrains the sense of action, but whose mind dwells on sense objects, certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender. On the other hand, if a sincere person try to control the active senses by the mind and begin Karma Yoga in Krishna consciousness without attachment, he is by far superior. Perform your prescribed duty, for doing so is better than not working. One cannot even maintain one's physical body without work. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed, otherwise work causes bondage in his material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and in that way you will always remain free from bondage. In the beginning of creation, the Lord of all creature sent forth generation of man and demigod along with sacrifices for Vishnu and blessed them by saying, "Be thou happy by this yajna," is the sacrifice, because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation. The demigod, being pleased by sacrifices, will also please you, and thus, by cooperation between man and demigod, prosperity will reign for all. In charge of the various necessities of life, the demigod, being satisfied by the performance of yajna, sacrifice, will supply all necessities to you, but he who enjoys such gift without offering them to the demigod in return is certainly a thief. The devotees of the Lord are released from all kind of sin because they eat food which is offered first for sacrifice. Others, who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment, verily eat only sin. All living bodies subsist on food grain which are produced from rain. Rain are produced by performance of yajna, and yajna is the bond of prescribed duties. Regulated activities are prescribed in the Vedas, and the Vedas are directly manifested from the Supreme Personalities of Godhead. Consequently, the all-pervading transcendence is eternally situated in act of sacrifice. My dear Arjuna, one who doesn't follow in human life the cycle of sacrifice thus established by the Vedas certainly leads a life full of sin. Living only for the satisfaction of the senses, such person lives in vain. But for one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization and who is satisfied in the self only, fully satiated from him, there is no duty. A self-realized man has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his prescribed duties, nor has he any reason not to perform any such work, nor has he any needs to depend on any other living beings. A self-realized man has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his prescribed duties, nor has he any reason not to perform such work, nor has he any need to depend on any other living beings. Therefore, without being attached to the fruit of activities, one should act as a matter of duty, for by working without attachment, one attains the Supreme. Kings such as Janaka attain perfection solely by performance of prescribed duties. Therefore, just for the sake of educating the people in general, you should perform your work. Whatever action a great man performs, common man follows, and whatever standard he sets by exemplary art, all the world pursues. O son of Pratha, there is no work prescribed for me within all the three planetary system, nor am I in want of anything, nor have I a need to obtain anything, and yet I am engaged in prescribed duties. For if I have ever failed to engage in carefully performing prescribed duties, O Pratha, certainly all men should follow my path. If I did not perform prescribed duty, all these worlds would be put to ruination. I would be the cause of creating unwanted population, and I would thereby destroy the peace of all living beings. As the ignorant perform their duties with attachment to results, and the learned may similarly act but without attachment for the sake of leading people on the right path, so as not to disturb the mind of ignorant man attached to the fruitive results of prescribed duties, a learned person should not induce them to stop work. Rather, by working in the spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all subtle activities for the gradual development of Krishna consciousness. The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself as the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. One who is in knowledge of the absolute truth, O mighty armed, does not engage himself in the senses and the sense gratification, knowing well the difference between work in devotion and work of fruitive results. Bewildered by the modes of material nature, the ignorant fully engage themselves in material activities and become attached, but the wise should not unsettle them, although these duties are inferior due to the performance of lack of knowledge. Therefore, O Arjuna, surrendering all your works unto me, with full knowledge of me, without desire for profit, with no claims to proprietorship, and free from lethargy, fight. Those persons who execute their duties according to my injunctions and who follow this teaching faithfully without envy become free from the bondage of fruitive action. But those who, out of envy, disregard these teachings and do not follow them regularly are to be considered bereft of all knowledge, befooled and ruined in their endeavors for perfection. Even a man of knowledge acts according to his own nature, for everyone follows the nature he has acquired from the three modes. What can repression accomplish? There are principles to regulate attachment and aversion pertaining to the sense and their object. One should not come under the control of such attachments and aversion because there are stumbling blocks on the path of self-realization. It is better to discharge one's prescribed duty, even though faultily, than others' duties perfectly. Destruction in the course of performing one's own duty is better than engaging in another's duty, for to follow another's path is dangerous. Arjuna said, O descendant, by what is one impelled to sinful act, even unknowingly, as if engaged by force? The Supreme Personality of the Godhead said, it is lost only, Arjuna, who is born of contact with the material mode of possession and later transformed into wrath, and who is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. As fire is covered by smoke, as a mirror is covered by dust, or as the embryo is covered by the womb, the living entity is covered by different degrees of his lust. Thus the wise living entity's pure consciousness becomes covered by his eternal enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied and who burns like fire. The senses, the mind, the intelligence are the sitting places of this lust. Through them, lust covers the real knowledge of living entity and bewilders them. Therefore, O Arjuna, best of the Bharatas, in the every beginning carve this great symbol of shine lost by regulating the senses, the sly their destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. The working senses are superior to dull matter, mind is higher than the senses, intelligence is still higher than the mind, and the soul is even higher than the intelligence. Thus, knowing oneself to the transcendental, to the material sense, mind and intelligence, O mighty arm Arjuna, one should steady the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence, that is the Krishna consciousness, and thus by spiritual strength conquer this insatiable enemy known as lust. Chapter 4. Transcendental Knowledge. The Personality of the Godhead, Lord Krishna, said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vyaswan, and Vyaswan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku. The supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the Senti kings understood it in that way, but in course of time the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you, because you are my devotee as well as my friend, and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science. Arjuna said, the sun god Vyaswana is senior by birth to you. How am I to understand that in the beginning you instructed this science to him? The Personality of the Godhead said, many births you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot, O subduer of the enemy. Although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all living entity, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. Although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all living entities, I still appear in every millennium in my own original transcendental form. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a dominant rise of religion at the time, I descend myself to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principle of religion. I myself appear millennium after millennium, being freed from attachment, fear and anger, being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me. Many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attain transcendental love for me. As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respect. O son of Pratha. Man in this world desires success in fruitive activities, and therefore they worship the demigod. Quickly, of course, man gets results from fruitive work in this world. According to the three modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the fourth division of human societies are created by me, and although I am the creator of this system, you should know that I am yet the non-doer, being unchangeable. There is no work that affects me, nor do I aspire for the fruit of action. One should understand this truth about me also, doesn't become entangled in the fruitive action of the work. All the liberated soul in ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. Therefore you should perform your duty, following in their footsteps. Even the intelligents are bewildered in determining what is action and what is inaction. Now I shall explain to you what is action, knowing which you shall be liberated from all misfortune. The intricacies of action are very hard to understand, therefore one should now properly know what action is, what forbidden action is, and what inaction is. One who sees inaction in action and action in inaction is intelligent among men, and he is in the transcendental position, although engaged in all sorts of activities. One is understood to be in full knowledge, whose every endeavor is devoid of desire for sense gratification. He is said by sages to be the worker, for whom the reaction of work has been burned up by the fire of perfect knowledge. Abandoning all attachment to the result of his activities, ever satisfied and independent, he performs no fruitive action, although engaged in all kind of undertakings. Such a man of understanding acts with mind and intelligence, perfectly control, gives up all sense of proprietorship over his possession, and act only for the bare necessities of life. Thus working, he is not affected by sinful actions. He who is satisfied with gain which comes of its own accord, which is free from duality and does not envy, with steady in both success and failure, is never entangled, although performing action. The work of a man who is unattached to the mode of material nature and who is fully situated in transcendental knowledge merges entirely into transcendence. A person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because of his full contribution to the spiritual activities, in which the consummation is absolute and that which is offered is of the same spiritual nature. Some yogis perfectly worship the demigod for offering different sacrifice to them, and some of them offer sacrifice in the fire of the Supreme Brahman. Some, the unadulterated brahmacharis, sacrifice the hearing process and the senses in the fire of mental control, and others, the regulated householders, sacrifice the objective of the senses into the fire of the senses. Others who are interested in achieving self-realization through control of the mind and sense offer the function of all the senses and of the life birth as oblation into the fire of the controlled mind. Having accepted strict vows, some become enlightened by sacrificing their possession, and others by performing severe austerities, by practicing the yogas of eightfold mysticism, or by studying the Vedas to advance in transcendental knowledge. Still others who are inclined to the process of breath restraint to remain in trance perform practice by offering the movement of outgoing breath into the incoming and incoming breath into the outgoing, and thus at last remain in trance, stopping all breathing. Other curtailing the eating process offer the outgoing breath into itself as a sacrifice. All these performers who know the meaning of sacrifice become cleansed of sinful reaction, and having tasted the nectar of result of sacrifice, they advance towards the supreme eternal atmosphere. O best of the Kuru dynasty, without sacrifice, no one can ever live happily on this planet or in this life. What then of the next? All these different types of sacrifice are approved by the Vedas, and all of them are born of different types of work. Knowing them as such, you will become liberated. O chastiser of the enemy, the sacrifice performed in knowledge is better than the more sacrifice of material possession. After all, O son of Pratha, all sacrifice of work culminate into transcendental knowledge. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. Having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will never fall again into such illusion. For by this knowledge, you will see that all living beings are put part of the Supreme, or in other words, that they are mine. Even if you are not considered to be the most sinful of all sinners, when you are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, you will be able to cross over the ocean of miseries. As a blazing fire turns firewood to ashes, O Arjuna, so does the fire of knowledge burn to ashes all reaction to material activities. In this world there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge is the mature fruit of all mysticism, and one has become accomplished in the practice of devotional service into this knowledge within himself in due course of time. A faithful man who is dedicated to transcendental knowledge and who subdues his senses is eligible to achieve such knowledge, and having achieved it, he quickly attains the supreme spiritual peace. But ignorant and faithless person who doubts the revealed scripture do not attain God consciousness. They fall down. For the doubting soul there is happiness neither in this world nor in the next. One who acts in devotional service, renouncing the fruit of his action, and whose doubts have been destroyed by transcendental knowledge, is situated factually in the self. Thus he is not bound by the reaction of work, O conqueror of riches. Therefore the doubt which have arisen in your heart out of ignorance should be slashed by the weapons of knowledge. Armed with yoga, O Bharata, stand and fight. Chapter 5, Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness. Arjuna said, O Krishna, first of all you ask me to renounce work, and then again you recommend work with devotion. Now will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two is more beneficial? The personality of the Godhead replied, the renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation, but of the two, work in devotional service is better than the renunciation of work. One who neither hates nor desires the fruit of his activities is known to be always renounced. Such a person, free from all dualities, easily overcomes material bondage and is completely liberated. O mighty armed Arjuna, only the ignorant speak of devotional service, that is the Karma Yoga, as being different from the analytical study of the material world, Sankhya. Those who are actually learned say that he who applies himself well to one of these paths achieves the result of both. One who knows that the position reached by the means of analytical study can also be attained by devotional service, and who therefore sees analytical study and devotional service to be on the same level, sees things as they are. Morally renouncing all activities yet not engaging in the devotional service of the Lord cannot make one happy, but a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the Supreme without delay. One who walks in devotion, who is a pure soul and who controls his mind and senses, is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him. Though always working, such a man is never entangled. A person in the divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping and breathing, always know within himself that he actually does nothing at all, because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, or opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their object, and that he is aloof from them. One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the result into the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by sinful action, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. The yogis, abandoning attachment, act with body, mind, intelligence, and even with the senses, only for the purpose of purification. The steadily devoted soul attains unadulterated peace, because he offers the result of all activities to me, whereas a person who is not in union with the divine, who is greedy for the fruit of his labor, become entangled. When the embodied living beings control his nature and mentally renounce all action, he resides happily in the city of 9 gates, the material body, neither working nor causing work to be done. The embodied spirit, master of the city of his body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruit of action. All this is intacted by the mode of material nature, nor does the Supreme Lord assume anyone's sinful or pious activities. Embodied beings, however, are bewildered because of the ignorance which covers their real knowledge. When, however, one is entangled with the knowledge by which nescience is destroyed, then his knowledge reveals everything as the sun lights off everything in the daytime. One who is intelligent, when one's intelligence, mind, faith, and refuse are all fixed in the Supreme, then one becomes fully cleansed of misgiving through complete knowledge, and thus proceeds straight onto the path of liberation. The humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, sees with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog-eater outcast. Those whose minds are established in sameness and equanimity has already conquered the condition of birth and death. They are flawless like Brahman, and thus they are already situated in Brahman. A person who neither rejoices upon achieving something pleasant, nor laments upon obtaining something unpleasant, who is self-intelligent, who is unbewildered, and who knows the science of God, is already situated in transcendence. Such a bewildered person is not attracted to material sense pleasure, but is always in trance, enjoying the pleasure within. In this way, the self-realized person enjoys unlimited happiness, for he concentrates on the Supreme. An intelligent person does not take part in the source of misery, which are due to the contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them. Before giving up this present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of the material sense and check the forces of desire and anger, he is well situated and is happy in this world. One whose happiness is within, who is active and rejoices within, and whose aim is inward, is actually the perfect mystic. He is liberated in the Supreme, and ultimately he attains the Supreme. Those who are beyond the dualities that arise from doubt, whose minds are engaged within, who are always busy working for the welfare of all living beings, and who are free from all sins, achieve liberation in the Supreme. Those who are free from anger and all material desire, who are self-realized, self-disciplined, and constantly endeavoring for perfection, are assured of liberation in the Supreme in the very near future. Sorting out all external sense objects, keeping the eyes and vision concentrated between the two eyebrows, suspending the inward and outward breath within the nostril, and thus controlling the mind, senses, and intelligence, the transcendentalist aiming at liberation becomes free from desire, fear, and anger. One who is always in this state is certainly liberated. A person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifice and austerities, Supreme Lord of all planet and the demigod and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attain peace from the pangs of material misery. Chapter 6. Dhyana Yoga. The Supreme Personality of the Godhead said, "One who is unattached to the fruit of his work and who works as he is obligated is in the renounced order of life, and he is the true mystic, not he who lights on fire and performs no duty." What is called renunciation, you should know to be the same as yoga or linking oneself with the Supreme. O son of Pandu, one can never become a yogi unless he renounces the desire for sense gratification. For one who is a neophyte in the Eightfold Yoga system, work is said to be the means, and for one who is already elevated in yoga, cessation of all material activities is called to be the means. A person is said to be elevated in yoga when he, having renounced all the material desire, he neither acts for sense gratification nor engages in fruitive activities. One must deliver himself with the help of his mind and not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the unconditional soul and his enemy as well. For him who has conquered the mind is the best of friend, but one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. For one who has conquered the mind, the super soul is already raised, for he has attained tranquility. To such a man, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same. A person is said to be established in self-realization and is called a yogi or mystic when he is fully satisfied by the virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. Such a person is situated in transcendence and is self-control. He sees everything, whether it be pebble, stone, or gold, at the same time. A person is considered still further advanced when he regards honest well-wishers, affectionate benefactors, the neutral, the mediator, the envious, friends and enemies, the pious and the sinner, all with an equal mind. A transcendentalist should always engage his body, mind, and self in relationship with the Supreme. He should live alone in a secluded place and should always carefully control his mind. He should be free from desire and feeling possessiveness. To practice yoga, one should go to a secluded places and should lay kusha grass on the ground and then cover it with a deer skin and a soft cloth. The seat should be neither too high nor too low and should be situated in a sacred place. The yogi should then sit on it firmly and practice yoga to purify the heart by controlling his mind, sense, and activities and fixing the mind on one point. One should hold one's body, neck, and his head erect in a straight line and stare steadily at the tip of the nose. Thus, with an unagitated subdued mind, devoid of fear, completely free from sex life. One should meditate upon me with the heart and make me the ultimate goal of life. Thus, practicing constant control of the body, mind, and activities, the mystic transcendentalist, his mind regulated, attain to the kingdom of God, or the adab of Krishna by cessation of material existence. There is no possibility of one's becoming a yogi, O Arjuna, if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or doesn't sleep enough. He who is regulated in his habit of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. When the yogi, by practice of yoga, disciplines his mental activities and becomes situated in transcendence, devoid of all material desire, he is said to be well established in yoga. As a lamp in a windless place does not waver, so the transcendentalist, whose mind is controlled, remains always steady in his meditation on the transcendent self. In the stage of perfection called trance or samadhi, one's mind is completely restrained from material mental activities by practice of yoga. This perfection is characterized by one's ability to see the self by the pure mind and to relish and rejoice in the self. In that joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness realized through transcendental senses established true. One never departs from the truth, and upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater gain. Being situated in such a position, one is never shaken, even in the midst of a great difficulty. This indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contract. One should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with determination and faith and not be deviated from the path. One should abandon without exception all material desire, born of mental speculation, and thus control all senses on all sides of the mind. Gradually, step by step, one should become situated in trance by means of intelligence, sustained by full conviction, and thus the mind should be fixed on the self alone and should think of nothing else. From wherever the mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one should certainly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self. The yogi whose mind is fixed on me verily attains the highest perfection of transcendental happiness. He is beyond the mode of passion. He realizes his qualitative identity with the Supreme, and thus he is freed from all reaction to past deed. Thus the self-control yogi, constantly engaged in yoga practice, become free from all material contamination and achieve the highest stage of perfect happiness in transcendental loving service to the Lord. A true yogi observes me in all being and also sees me being in me indeed. The self-realized person sees me, the same Supreme Lord, everywhere. He is a perfect yogi who, by comparison to his own self, sees the true equality of all being in both their happiness and their distress, O Arjuna. Arjuna said, O Madhusudana, the system of yoga which you have summarized appears impracticable and unendurable to me, for the mind is restless and unsteady. For the mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong, O Krishna, and to subdue it, I think, is more difficult than controlling the wind. Lord Krishna said, O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. For one whose mind is unbridled, self-realization is difficult work, but he whose mind is controlled and who strives by appropriate means is assured of success. That is my opinion. Arjuna said, O Krishna, what is the destination of the unsuccessful transcendentalist who is in the beginning takes to the process of self-realization with the faith, but who later desists due to the worldly mindfulness and thus does not attain perfection in mysticism? O mighty armed Krishna, does not such a man who is bewildered from the path of transcendence fall away from both spiritual and material success and perish like a river cloud with no position in any sphere? This is my doubt, O Krishna, and I ask you to dispel it completely. But for you, no one is to be found who can destroy this doubt. The Supreme Personality of the Godhead said, O son of Pratha, a transcendentalist engaged in an auspicious activities does not meet with destruction either in this world nor in the spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. The unsuccessful yogi, after many years of enjoyment on the planet of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy, or is unsuccessful after long practice of yoga, he takes his birth in a family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Certainly, such a birth is rare in this world. On taking such a birth, he revives the divine consciousness of his previous life, and he again tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success, O son of Kuru. By virtue of the divine consciousness of his previous life, he automatically becomes attracted to the yogic principle even without seeking them. Such an inquisitive transcendentalist stands always above the ritualist principle of the scriptures. And when the yogi engages himself with a sincere endeavor in making further progress, being washed of all contamination, then ultimately achieving perfection after many births of practice, he attains the supreme goal. A yogi is greater than the ascetic, greater than the empiricist, and greater than the fruitive worker. Therefore, Arjuna, in all circumstances, be a yogi. And of all the yogis, the one with great faith, who always abides in me and thinks of me within himself and renders transcendental loving service to me, he is the most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. This is my opinion. Chapter 7. Knowledge of the Absolute. The Supreme Personality of the Godhead said, "Now hear, O son of Pratha, how by practicing yoga is full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. Out of many thousand among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego, all together, these 8 constitute my separated material energies. Beside these, O mighty Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mine, which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material, inferior nature. All created beings have their source in these 2 natures of all that is material and that is spiritual in this world. Know for certain that I am both the origin and dissolution. O conqueror of the world, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. O son of Kunti, I am the taste of water, the light of the sun, the moon, the syllable Om in the Vedic mantra. I am sound in ether and ability in man. I am the original fragrance of the earth. I am the heat in the fire. I am the life of all that lives. I am the penance of all ascetics. O son of Pratha, know that I am the original seed of all existence, the intelligence of the intelligent, and the prowess of all powerful man. I am the strength of the strong, devoid of passion and desire. I am sex life, which is not contrary to religious principle, O Lord of the Bharatas, Arjuna. Know that all state of being, be they of goodness, passion, or ignorance, are manifested by my energy. I am in one sense everything, but I am independent. I am not under the mode of material nature, for they, on the contrary, are within me. Deluded by the 3 modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, in whole world does not know me, who am above the modes and inexhaustible. This divine energy of mine, consisting of the 3 modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who are surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. The miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who parted on the aesthetic nature of the demon, do not surrender unto me. O best among the Bharatas, who kind of pious man, begin to render devotional service unto me, the distressed, the desirer of the wealth, the inquisitive, and he is searching for the knowledge of Absolute, and the one who is searching for the knowledge of the Absolute. Of these, the one who is in full knowledge and who is always engaged in pure devotional service is the best. I am very dear to him and he is dear to me. All these devotees are undoubtedly magnanimous soul, but who is situated in knowledge of me, I consider to be just like my own self, being engaged in my transcendental service. He is assured to attain me, the highest and the most perfect goal. After many birth and death, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desire surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulation of worship according to their own nature. I am in everyone's heart as the super soul. As soon as one desires to worship some demigod, I make this faith steady to that he can devote himself to that particular deity. Endowed with such a faith, he endeavors to worship a particular demigod and obtains his desire. But in actuality, these benefits are bestowed by me alone. Men of small intelligence worship the demigod and their fruit are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigod go to the planet of the demigod, but my devotee ultimately reaches my supreme planet. Unintelligent men who do not know me perfectly think that I, the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, Krishna, was impersonal before and have now assumed this personality. Due to their small knowledge, they do not know my higher nature, which is imperishable and supreme. I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them, I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and infallible. O Arjuna, as the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past and that is happening in the present and all things that are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me no one knows. O Scion of the Bharata, O conqueror of the foe, all living entities are born into delusion, bewildered by dualities, arisen from desire and hate. Person who have acted piously in previous life and in this life and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated are free from the dualities of the delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination. Intelligent person who are endeavoring for liberation from old age and death take refuge in me and devotional service. They are actually Brahman because they entirely know everything about transcendental activities. Those in full consciousness of me, who know me, the Supreme Lord, to be the governing principle of material manifestation of the demigod and of all method of the sacrifice, can understand and know me, the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, even at the time of death. Chapter 8. Attaining the Supreme. Arjuna inquired, O my Lord, O Supreme Person, what is Brahman? What is the Self? What are fruitive activities? What is this material manifestation? And what are the demigod? Please explain this to me. Who is the Lord of sacrifice? How does he live in the body? O Madhusudana, and how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death? The Supreme Personality of the Godhead said, the indestructible, transcendental living entity is called Brahman, and his eternal nature is called Adhyatma, the self. Action pertaining to the development of material body of the living entities is called karma or fruitive activities. O best of the embodied being, the physical nature, which is constantly changing, is called Adhibhuta, the material manifestation. The universal form of the Lord, which include all the demigod like those of the sun and the moon, is called Adhidaiva. I, the Supreme Lord, represented as the super soul in the heart of every embodied being, am called Adi Yagna, the Lord of sacrifice. And whoever at the end of his life quits his body, remembering me alone at once, attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna, and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting with your activities dedicated to me, and your mind and intelligence fixed on me. You will attain me without doubt. He who meditates on me as the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path, he, O Pratha, is sure to raise me. One should meditate upon the Supreme Person as the one who knows everything, as he who is the oldest, who is the controller, who is smaller than the smallest, who is maintainer of everything, who is beyond all material conception, who is inconceivable, and he who is always a person. He is luminous like the sun, and he is transcendental beyond this material nature. One who at the time of death fixes his life year between the eyebrows, and by the strength of yoga with an undeviating mind engage himself in remembering the Supreme Lord in full devotion, will certainly attain to the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. Person who are learned in the Vedas, who utter Omkara, and who are great sages in the renounced order, enter into Brahman. Desiring such perfection, one practice celibacy. I shall now briefly explain to you this process by which one may attain salvation. The person who are learned in the Vedas, who utter Omkara, who are great sages in the renounced order, enter into Brahman. Desiring such perfection, one practices celibacy. I shall now briefly explain to you this process by which one may attain salvation. The yogic situation is that of the detachment from all sensual engagement, closing all the door of the senses and fixing the mind on the heart and the life air at the top of the head. One established himself in yoga. After being situated in this yoga practice and vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combination of letter, if one thinks of the Supreme Personality of the Godhead and quits his body, he will certainly reach the spiritual planet. For one who always remember me without deviation, I am easy to obtain, O son of Pratha, because of this constant engagement in devotional service. After attaining me, the great soul, who are yogis in devotion, never return to this temporary world which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place, but one who attains to my adobe, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. By human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together from the duration of Brahma's one day, and such also in the duration of his night. At the beginning of the Brahma's day, all living entities become manifest from the unmanifest state, and therefore, when the night falls, they are merged into unmanifest again. Again and again, when Brahma's days arrive, all living entities come into being, and with the arrival of Brahma's night, they are helplessly annihilated. Yet there is another unmanifest nature, which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested nature, and it is supreme and is never annihilated. When all this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is. That which the Vedantists describe as unmanifest and infallible, that which is known as the supreme destination, that place from which, having attained to, one can never return, that is my supreme adobe. The Supreme Personality of the Godhead, which is greater than all, is attained by unalloyed devotion. Although he is present in his adobe, he is all-pervading, and everything is situated within him. O best of the Bharatas, I shall now explain to you the different times at which, passing away from this world, the yogi does or doesn't come back. Those who know the Supreme Brahman attain that Supreme by passing away from the world during the influence of the fiery God into light at an auspicious moment of the day, during the fortnight of the waxing moon, or during the 6th month when the sun travels to the north. The mystic who passes away from this world during the smoke, the night, the fortnight of the waning moon, or the 6th month when the sun passes to the south, reaches to the moon planet but again comes back. According to the Vedic opinion, there are two types of passing from this world, one in light and one in darkness. When one passes in light, he doesn't come back, but when one passes in darkness, he returns. Although the devotees know these two paths, O Arjuna, they are never bewildered. Therefore, be always fixed in devotion. A person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the result derived from studying the Vedas, performing sacrifices, undergoing austerities, giving charities, or pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities. Simply by performing devotional service, he attains all this, and at the end, he reaches the supreme eternal adobe. Chapter 9. The Most Confidential Knowledge. The Supreme Personality of the Godhead said, My dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence. This knowledge is the king of education, the most sacred of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives proper perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion, is everlasting, and it is joyfully performed. Those who are not faithful in this devotional service cannot attain me, O conqueror of enemies. Therefore they return to the path of birth and death in this material world. By me, in my own manifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. And yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and although I am everywhere, I am not a part of this cosmic manifestation, for myself is my source of creation. Understand that as the mighty wind blowing everywhere rests always in the sky, all created beings rest in me. O son of Kunti, at the end of millennium, all material manifestation enter into my nature, and at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I create them again. The whole cosmic order is under me, under my will. It is automatically manifested again and again, and under my will it is annihilated at the end. O Dhananjaya, all this work cannot bind me. I am ever detached from all these material activities, seated as though neutral. This material nature, which is one of my energy, is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. Fools deride me when I descend into the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the Supreme Lord of all that be. Those who are thought bewildered are attracted by demonic and atheistic views. In that deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruitive activities, and their culture of knowledge are all defeated. O son of Pratha, those who are not deluded, the great soul are under the O son of Pratha, those who are not deluded, the great souls are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Always chanting my glories, enduring with great determination, bowing down before me, this great soul perpetually worship me with devotion. Others who engage in sacrifice by the cultivation of knowledge worship the Supreme Lord as the one without a second, as diverse in many and in the universal form. But it is I who am the ritual, I the sacrifice, the offering to an ancestor, the healing herb, the transcendental chant. I am the butter and the fire and the offering. I am the father of this universe, the mother, the support, the grandsire. I am the object of the knowledge, the purifier, the syllable Om. I am also Rig, the Sama, and the Yajurvedas. I am the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the adopt, the refuge, the most dear friend. I am the creation and annihilation, the basis of everything, the resting place, and the eternal seed. O Arjuna, I give heat, I withhold, and send forth the rain. I am immortality, I am also death personified. Both spirit and the matter are in me. Those who study the Vedas and drink the Soma juice, seeking the heavenly planet, worship me indirectly, purified of sinful reaction. They take birth on the pious heavenly planet of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights. When they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasure and the results of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus, those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principle of three Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death. But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. Those who are devotees of other gods and who worship them with faith actually worship only me, O son of Kunti, but they do so in a wrong way. I am the only enjoyer and master of all sacrifices. Therefore, those who do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down. Those who worship the demigod will take birth among the demigod. Those who worship the ancestor go to the ancestor. Those who worship ghost and spirit will take birth among such beings, and those who worship me will live with me. If one offer me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. In this way, you will be freed from the bondage to work and its auspicious and inauspicious results. With your mind fixed on me in this principle of renunciation, you will be liberated and come to me. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all, but whoever renders services unto me into devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also friend to him. Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination. He quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. O son of Pratha, those who take shelter in me, though they be of lower birth, woman, Vaishya, merchant, and Sudra's worker, can attain the supreme destination. How much more this is so of the righteous Brahmanas, the devotees, and the saintly kings. Therefore, having come to this temporary miserable world, engage in loving service unto me. Engage your mind always in thinking of me, become my devotee, offer obeisance to me and worship me, being completely absorbed in me, and surely you will come to me. Chapter 10. The Opulence of the Absolute. The Supreme Personality of the Godhead said, "Listen again, O mighty am Arjuna, because you are my dear friend. For your benefit, I shall speak to you further, giving knowledge that is better than that I have already explained. Neither the hosts of the demigod nor the great sages know my opinion or opulences, for in every respect I am source of demigod and sages. He who knows me as the unborn, as the beginningless, as the Supreme Lord of all the world, he only undiluted among men is free from all sins. Intelligence, knowledge, freedom from doubt and delusion, forgiveness, truthfulness, control of the senses, control of the mind, happiness and distress, birth, death, fear, fearlessness, non-violence, equanimity, satisfaction, austerity, charity, fame and infamy, all these various qualities of living beings are created by me alone. The 7 great sages, and before them the 4 other great sages, and the Manus, progenitors of mankind, come from me, born from my mind, and all the living beings populating the various planets descend from them. One who is factually convinced of this opulence and mystic power of mine engage in unalloyed devotional service. Of this there is no doubt. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. The thought of my pure devotee dwells in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. Those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their heart, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance." Arjuna said, "You are the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, the ultimate adopt, the purest, the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, the greatest. All the great sages such as Narada, Ashita, Devala, and Vyasa confirm this truth about you, and now you yourself are declaring it to me. O Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you told me. Neither the demigods nor the demon, O Lord, can understand your personality. Indeed, you alone know yourself by your own eternal potency, O Supreme Person, origin of all, Lord of all being, God of God, Lord of the universe." Please tell me in detail of your divine opulences by which you pervade all these worlds. O Krishna, O Supreme Mystic, how shall I constantly think of you, and how shall I know you? In what various form are you to be remembered, O Supreme Personality of the Godhead? O Janardana, again please describe in detail the mystic power of your opulences. I am never satisfied in hearing about you, for the more I hear, the more I want to taste the nectar of your words. The Supreme Personality of the Godhead said, "Yes, I will tell you of my splendorous manifestation, but only of those which are prominent, O Arjuna, for my opulence is limitless. I am the Super Soul, O Arjuna, seated in the hearts of all living entities. I am the beginning, the middle, and end of all beings. Of the Veda, I am the Samaved. Of the demigod, I am Indra, the king of heaven. Of the senses, I am the mind, and in living being, I am living force, consciousness. Of all the Rudras, I am Lord Shiva. Of the Yakshas and Rakshasa, I am the Lord of the wealth, Kubera. Of the Vasus, I am fire, Agni, and of the mountain, I am Meru. Of priest, O Arjuna, you know me to be the chief, Brihaspati. Of general, I am Kartike, and of the bodies of water, I am the ocean. Of the great sages, I am Brigru. Of vibration, I am the transcendental Om. Of sacrifice, I am chanting of the holy name, Japa. And of immovable things, I am the Himalayas. Of all the trees, I am the banyan tree. And of all the sages among the demigods, I am Narada. Of the Gandharvas, I am Chitraratha. And among perfectly beings, I am the sage Kapila. Of horses, know me to be Uchai-Shrava, produced during the churning of the ocean for nectar. Of lordly elephant, I am Airavata, and among men, I am the monarch. Of weapons, I am the thunderbolt. Among cows, I am the Suravi. Of causes of procreation, I am Kandarpa, the god of love. And of serpent, I am Basuki. Of the many-hooded Nagas, I am Ananta. And among the aquatic, I am the demigod Varuna. Of departed ancestor, I am Aryama. And among the dispenser of law, I am Yama, the lord of death. Among the Daitya demons, I am devotee Prahlada. Among subdurers, I am time. Among beasts, I am the lion. And among birds, I am Garuda. Of purifier, I am the wind. Of the wielders of the weapon, I am Rama. Of fishes, I am Shark. And of flowing river, I am the Ganges. And of all the creation, I am the beginning and the end, and also the middle, O Arjuna. Of all science, I am the spiritual science of self, and among logicians, I am the conclusive truth. Of letters, I am letter A, and among compound words, I am the dual compound. I am also inexhaustible time, and of creator, I am Brahma. I am all enduring death. I am the generating principle of all that is yet to be. Among women, I am fame, fortune, fine speech, memory, intelligence, steadiness, and passions. Of the hymn in Samaveda, I am the Pratsamaha, and of poetry, I am the Gayatri. Of month, I am Margashirsha, November to December, and of season, I am flower-bearing spring. Of the hymns in the Samaveda, I am Pratsama, and of poetry, I am Gayatri. Of month, I am Margashirsha, that is November to December, and of season, I am flower-bearing spring. I am also gambling of the cheats, and of the splendid, I am the splendor, I am victory, I am adventure, I am strength of the strong. Of the descendant of Vrishni, I am Vasudeva. Of the Pandavas, I am Arjuna. Of the sages, I am Vyasa. And among great thinker, I am Ushana. Among all the means of suppressing lawlessness, I am punishment. And of those who seek victory, I am morality. Of sacred things, I am silence. And of the wise, I am the wisdom. Furthermore, Arjuna, I am generating seed of all existence. There is no being, moving or non-moving, that can exist without me. O mighty conqueror of enemy, there is no end to my divine manifestation. What I have spoken to you is but a mere indication of my infinite opulences. Know that all opulent, beautiful, and glorious creation spring from but a spark of my splendor. But what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. Chapter 11, The Universal Form. Arjuna said, by my hearing the instruction you have kindly given me about this most confidential spiritual subject, my illusion has now been dispelled. O lotus-eyed one, I have heard from you in detail about the appearance and the disappearance of every living entity and have realized your inexhaustible glories. O greatest of all personalities, O Supreme Form, though I see you here before me in your actual position as you have described yourself, I wish to see how you have entered into this cosmic manifestation. I want to see that form of yours. If you think that I am able to behold your cosmic form, O my Lord, Master of all mystic power, then kindly show me that unlimited universal self. The Supreme Personality of the Godhead said, O my dear Arjuna, O son of Pratha, see now my opulences, hundreds of thousands of varied divine and multicolored forms. O best of Bharatas, see here the different manifestation of Adityas, Vasus, Rudras, Ashwini Kumars, and all other demigods. Behold the many wonderful things which no one has ever seen or heard before. O Arjuna, whatever you wish to be, behold at once in this body of mine. This universal form can show you whatever you now desire to see and whatever you may see. O Arjuna, whatever you wish to see, behold at once in this body of mine. This universal form can show you whatever you know. O Arjuna, whatever you wish to see, behold at once in this body of mine. This universal form can show you whatever you now desire to see and whatever you may want to see in this future. Everything, moving and non-moving, is here completely in one place. But you cannot see me with your present eyes, therefore I give you divine eyes. Behold my mystic opulence. Sanjaya said, O king, having spoken thus, the Supreme Lord of all mystic power, the personality of the Godhead, displayed his universal form to Arjuna. Arjuna saw in that universal form unlimited mouth, unlimited eyes, unlimited wonderful vision. The form was decorated with many celestial ornaments and bore many divine unpraised weapons. He wore celestial garland and the garment, and many divine saints were smeared over his body. All were wondrous, brilliant, unlimited, all expanding. If hundreds of thousands of suns were to rise at once into the sky, their radiance might resemble the effulgence of the Supreme Person in that universal form. At the time, Arjuna could see in the universal form of the Lord the unlimited expansion of the universe, situated in one place, although divided into many thousands. Then bewildered and astonished, his hair standing on end, Arjuna bowed his head to offer obeisance and with folded hands began to pray to Supreme Lord. Arjuna said, "My dear Lord Krishna, I assemble in your body all the demigod and various other living entities. I see Brahma sitting on the lotus flower, as well as Lord Shiva and all the sages and the divine serpents. O Lord of the universe, O universal form, I see in your body many arms, bellies, mouths and eyes expanded everywhere without limit. I see in you no end, no middle and no beginning. Your form is difficult to see because of its glaring effulgence, spreading of all sides like blazing fire or the immeasurable radiance of the sun. Yet I see this glowing form everywhere, adorned with various crowns, clubs and discs. You are the supreme, primal objective. You are the ultimate resting place of all this universe. You are inexhaustible and you are the oldest. You are the maintainer of the eternal religion, the personality of the Godhead. This is my opinion. You are without origin, middle or end. Your glory is unlimited. You have numberless arms and the sun, the moon are your eyes. I see you with the blazing fire coming forth from your mouth, burning this entire universe by your own radiance. Although you are one, you spread throughout the sky and the planet and all space between. O Great One, seeing this wondrous and terrible form, all the planetary system are perturbed. All the host of demigods are surrendering before you and entering into you. Some of them, very much afraid, are offering prayers with folded hand. Host of great sages and perfected beings, crying all peace, are praying to you by singing the Vedic hymns. All the various manifestations of Lord Shiva, the Aditya, the Vashus, the Sadhyas, the Vishpadevas, the two Asvis, the Maruts, the Forefather, the Garud, the Gandharvas, the Yakshas, the Asuras, and the perfected demigods are beholding you in wonder. O mighty armed one, all the planet with their demigods are disturbed at seeing your great forms, and with it many faces, eyes, arms, thighs, legs and bellies, and your very terrible teeth. As they are disturbed, so am I. O all-pervading Vishnu, seeing you with your many radiant color touching the sky, your gaping mouth and your great glowing eyes, my mind is perturbed by fear. I can no longer maintain my steadiness or equilibrium of mind. O Lord of Lords, O refuge of the world, please be gracious to me. I cannot keep my balance. Seeing thus your blazing death-like faces and awful teeth in all directions, I am bewildered. All the sons of Dhritarashtra, along with their allied kings and Bhishma, Drona, Karna, and our chief soldier also are rushing onto your fearful mouth, and some I see trapped with your head smashed between your teeth. As the many waves of the river flow into the ocean, so do all these great warriors enter blazing into your mouth. I see all people rushing full speed into your mouth, as moth dash to destruction in a blazing fire. O Vishnu, I see you devouring all people from all sides with your flaming mouth, covering all the universe with your effulgence. You are manifest with terrible scorching rays. O Lord of Lords, so fires of foam, please tell me who you are. I offer my obeisance unto you. Please be gracious to me. You are the primal Lord. I want to know about you, for I do not know what your mission is. The Supreme Personality of the Godhead said, "Time I am the greatest destroyer of the worlds, and I have come here to destroy all people with the exception of you, the Pandavas. The souls are here on the both sides will be slain. Therefore, get up, prepare to fight and win glory. Conquer your enemies and enjoy a flourishing kingdom. They are already put into death by my arrangement, and you, O Sabyasachi, can be put an instrument in the fight. Drona, Bhishma, Jayadratha, Karna, and all other great warriors have already been destroyed by me. Therefore, kill them and do not be disturbed. Simply fight, and you will vanquish your enemies in battle." Sanjaya said to Dhritarashtra, "O king, after hearing this word from the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, the trembling Arjuna offered obeisance with folded hand again and again. He fearfully spoke to Lord Krishna in a flattering voice as follows. Arjuna said, "O master of the senses, the world becomes joyful upon hearing your names, and thus everyone become attached to you. Although the perfect being offer you with their respectful homage, the demons are afraid and they flee here and there. All this is rightly done. O Great One, greater even than Brahma, you are the original creator. Why then should they not offer their respectful obeisance unto you? O limitless one, God of God, refuge of the universe, You are the invincible source and the causes of all causes, transcendental to this material manifestation. You are the original personality of the Godhead, the oldest, the ultimate sanctuary of this manifested cosmic world. You are the knower of everything, and you are all that is knowable. You are the supreme refuge among the material mode. O limitless form, this whole cosmic manifestation is pervaded by you. You are the air, you are the supreme controller, you are fire, you are water, you are the moon, you are Brahma, the first living creature. You are the great grandfather. I therefore offer my respectful ovations unto you 1,000 times, again and yet again. Ovations to you from the front, from behind, and from all sides. O bounded power, you are the master of limitless might. You are all-pervading, and thus you are everything. Thinking of you as my friend, I have rashly addressed you, O Krishna, O Yadava, O my friend, not knowing your glories. Please forgive me whatever I may have done in madness or in love. I have dishonored you many times, jesting as we relaxed, lay on the same bed, or sat or ate together, sometimes alone and sometimes in front of my friend. O infallible one, please excuse me for all these offenses. You are the father of this complete cosmic manifestation and of the moving and the non-moving. You are its worshipable chief and the supreme spiritual master. No one is equal to you, nor can anyone be one with you. How then could there be anyone greater than you within the three world? O Lord of immeasurable power, you are the Supreme Lord, to be worshipped by every living thing. Thus I fall down to offer you my respectful ovations and ask your mercy, as a father tolerates the impudence of his son, a friend, the impertinence of a friend or a husband, the familiarity of his wife. Please tolerate the wrong I may have done to you. After seeing this universal form, which I have never seen before, I am gladdened, but at the same time my mind is disturbed with fear. Therefore please bestow your grace upon me and reveal again your form as the personality of the Godhead, O Lord of Lords, O Adolf of the universe. O universal form, O thousand-armed Lord, I wish to see you in your four-armed form, with helmeted head and with club, wheel, console, and lotus flower in your hand. I long to see you in that form. The Supreme Personality of the Godhead said, My dear Arjuna, happily have I shown you my internal potency, this supreme universal form within the material world. No one before you has ever seen this primal form, unlimited and full of glaring effulgence. O best of the Kurus, warriors, no one before you has ever seen this universal form of mine, for neither by studying the Vedas, nor by performing sacrifice, nor by charity, nor by pious activities, nor by severe penance can I be seen in this form in material world. You have been perturbed and bewildered by seeing this horrible feature of mine. Now let it be finished, my devotee. Be free again from all disturbances. With a peaceful mind, you can now see the form you desire. Sanjaya said to Dhritarashtra, The Supreme Personality of the Godhead Krishna, having spoken thus to Arjuna, displays his real four-armed form and at last shows his two-armed form, thus encouraging the fearful Arjuna. When Arjuna thus saw Krishna in his original form, he said, O Janardana, seeing this human-like form, so very beautiful, I am now composed in mind and I am restored to my original nature. The Supreme Personality of the Godhead said, My dear Arjuna, this form of mine you now are seeing is very difficult to behold. Even the demigods are ever seeking the opportunity to see this form which is so dear. The form you are seeing with your transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying the Vedas, nor by understanding, nor by undergoing serious penance, nor by charity, nor by worship. It is not by these means that one can see me as I am. My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. My dear Arjuna, you engage in my pure devotional service, free from the contamination of the fruitive activities and mental speculation. He works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of his life, and who is friendly to every living being. He certainly comes to me. Chapter 12, Devotional Service. Arjuna inquired, Who are considered to be more perfect? Those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahma, the unmanifested? The Supreme Personality of the Godhead said, Those who fix their mind on my personal form and who are always engaged in worshipping me with great transcendental faith are considered by me to be the most perfect. But those who fully worship the unmanifested, that who is lies beyond the perfection of the senses, that all-pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed and immovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such person engaged in the welfare of all at last achieve me. For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. But those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me, are being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service, and always meditating upon me, having fixed their minds upon me, O son of Pratha, for them I am swift deliverer. I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. Just fix our mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me, thus you will live in me and always without a doubt. My dear Arjuna, O winner of the wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative principle of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me. If you cannot practice the regulation of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me, because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. If, however, you are unable to work in this consciousness of me, then try to act giving up all result of your work and try to be self-situated. If you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation, and therefore better than meditation is renunciation of the fruit of action. For by such renunciation, one can attain peace of mind. One who is not envious, but is a kind friend of all living entities, who doesn't think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal to both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-control, and engaged in devotional service with determination, his mind and intelligence fixed on me. Such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. He by whom no one is put into difficulty, and who is not disturbed by anyone, who is equipoised in happiness and distress, fear and anxiety, is very dear to me. My devotee, who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activity, who is pure, expert, without care, free from all pain, and not striving for some result, is very dear to me. One who neither rejoices nor grieves, one who neither laments nor desires, and who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things, such a devotee is very dear to me. One who is equal to friend and enemies, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, which is always free from contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with anything, who doesn't care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge, and who is engaged in devotional service, such a person is very dear to me. Those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me. Chapter 13. Nature, the Enjoyer, and the Consciousness. Arjuna said, O my dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti nature, Purusha, the enjoyer, and the field and the knower of the field, and the knowledge and the object of the knowledge. The Supreme Personality of the Godhead said, This body, O son of Kunti, is called the field, and one who knows this body is called the knower of the field. O Scion of the Bharata, you should understand that I am also the knower in all bodies, and to understand this body and its knower is called the knowledge, and this is my opinion. Now please hear my brief description of this field of activity, and how it is constituted, and what its changes are, whence it is produced, who that knower of the field of activity is, and what his influences are. That knowledge of the field of activities and of the knower of activities is described by various phases in various Vedic writing. It is especially presented in Vedanta Sutra with all reasoning as to the cause and effect. The 5 great elements, false ego, intelligence, the unmanifested, the 10 senses, and the mind, the 5 sense objects, desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate, the life symptom, and the conventions, all these are considered in summary to be the field of activities and its interactions. Humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of the object of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease, detachment, freedom from entanglement with children, wife, home and the rest, even-mindedness amidst pleasant and unpleasant event, constant and unalloyed devotion to me, aspiring to live in a solitary peace, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization and philosophical search for the absolute truth. All this I declare to be the knowledge, and beside this whatever there may be is ignorance. I shall now explain the knowable, knowing which you will test the eternal. Brahman, the spirit, beginningless and subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. Everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes, ears and faces, and he has ears everywhere. In this way, the Supersoul exists, pervading everything. The Supersoul is the original source of all senses, yet he is without senses, he is unattached, although he is the maintainer of all living being. He transcends the modes of nature, and all the same time, he is the master of all modes of material nature. The Supreme Truth exists outside and inside of all living beings, the moving and the non-moving, because he is subtle, he is beyond the power of material senses to see or to know. Although far, far away, he is also near to all. Although the Supersoul appears to be divided among all beings, he is never divided, he is situated at once. Although he is the maintainer of all living entity, it is to be understood that he devours and develops all. He is the source of light in all luminous object. He is beyond the darkness of matter and is unmanifested. He is knowledge, he is the object of knowledge, and he is the goal of knowledge. He is situated in everyone's heart. Thus the field of activities, the body, knowledge, and the knowledge have been summarily described by me. Only my devotees can understand this thoroughly and thus attain to my nature. Material nature and the living entities should be understood to be beginningless. Their transformation and the modes of matter are product of material nature. Nature is said to be the cause of all material causes and effect, whereas the living entity is the cause of various suffering and enjoyment in this world. The living entity in material nature thus follows the way of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to this association with that material nature, thus he meets with good and evil among various species. Yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, which is the Lord, the Supreme Proprietor, who exists as the overseer and permitter, and who is known as the Supersoul. One who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, the living entity, and the interaction of the mode of nature is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position. Some perceive the Supersoul within themselves through meditation, other through the cultivation of knowledge, and still other through working without fruitive desires. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. O Chief of Bharatas, know that whatever you see in existence, both the moving and non-moving, is only a combination of field of activities and knower of the field. One who sees the Supersoul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies, who understand that neither the soul nor the Supersoul within the destructible body is ever destroyed, actually sees. One who sees the Supersoul actually present everywhere, in every living being, does not degrade himself by his mind. Thus he approaches the transcendental destination. One who sees that all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing, actually sees. When a sensible man ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies, and he sees how beings are expanded everywhere, he attains to the Brahman conception. Those with the vision of eternity can see that the imperishable soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond the modes of nature. Despite contact with the material body, O Arjuna, the soul neither does anything nor is entangled. The sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all-pervading. Similarly, the soul situated in Brahman vision doesn't mix with the body, though situated in that body. O son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness. Those who see with the eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, and can also understand the process of liberation from bondage in material nature, attain to supreme goal. Chapter 14. The three modes of material nature. The Supreme Personality of the Godhead said, "Again I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom. the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection. By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own, thus established. One is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. The total material substance called Brahman is the source of birth, and it is that Brahman that I impregnate, making possible the birth of all living being, O son of Bharata. It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving father. Material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity come in contact with the nature, O mighty Arjuna, he become conditioned by these modes. O sinless one, the mode of goodness, being purer than the other, is illuminating and is free one from all sinful reaction. Those situated in that mode become conditionally by a sense of happiness and knowledge. The mode of passion is born of unlimited desire and longings, O son of Kunti, and because of this, the embodied living entity is born to material fruitive action. O son of Bharata, know that the mode of darkness, born of ignorance, is the dissolution of all embodied living entity. The result of this mode are madness, indolence, and sleep, which bind the conditioned soul. O son of Bharata, the mode of goodness, condition one to happiness, passion, condition one to fruitive action, and the ignorance, covering one's knowledge, bind one to madness. Sometimes the mode of goodness become prominent, defeating the mode of passion and ignorance, O son of Bharata. Sometimes the mode of passion defeats goodness and ignorance, and at other times ignorance defeats goodness and passion. In this way, there is always competition for supremacy. The manifestation of the mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of body are illuminated by knowledge. O chief of the Bharatas, when there is all increase in the mode of passion and the symptom of great attachment, fruitive activities, intense endeavor, and uncontrollable desire and hankering develop. When there is an increase in the mode of ignorance, O son of Kuru, darkness, inertia, madness, and illusion are manifested. When one dies in the mode of goodness, he attains to the pure higher planet of the great sages. When one dies in the mode of passion, he takes birth among those engaged in fruitive activities, and when one dies in the mode of ignorance, he takes birth in the animal kingdom. The result of pious action is pure and is said to be in the mode of goodness, but action done in the mode of passion result in misery, and action performed in the mode of ignorance result in foolishness. From the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. From the mode of passion, greed develops, and from the mode of ignorance, develop foolishness, madness, and illusion. Those situated in the mode of goodness gradually go upward to the higher planet. Those in the mode of passion live on the earthly planet, and those in the abominable mode of ignorance go down to the hellish worlds. When one properly sees that in all activities no other performer is at work than those mode of nature, and he who knows the Supreme Lord, who is transcendental to all these worlds, he attains my spiritual nature. When the embodied being is able to transcend these three modes associated with the material body, he can become free from birth, death, old age, and their distress, and can enjoy nectar even in this life. Arjuna inquired, O my dear Lord, by whose symptom is one known who is transcendental to these three modes? What is his behavior, and how does he transcend the mode of nature? The Supreme Personality of the Godhead said, O son of Pandu, he who does not hate illumination, attachment, and delusion when they are present, or long for them when they disappear, who is unwavering and undisturbed through all this reaction of material qualities, remaining neutral and transcendental, knowing that the modes alone are active, who is situated in the self and regard alike happiness and distress, who looks upon a lump of earth, a stone, and piece of gold with an equal eye, who is equal towards the desirable and undesirable, who is steady, situated equally well in praise and blame, honor and dishonor, who treats alike both friend and enemy, who has renounced all material activities. Such a person is said to have transcended the mode of nature. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the mode of material nature and thus come to the level of Brahman. And I am the basis of impersonal Brahman, who is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. Chapter 15. The Yoga of the Supreme Person. The Supreme Personality of the Godhead said, It is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its root upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. The branches of these trees extend downward and upward, nourished by the three modes of material nature. The twigs are the object of the sense. The trees also has root growing down, and these are bound to the fruitive action of the human society. The real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it begins, or where its foundation is, but with the determination one must cut down this strongly rooted tree with weapon of detachment. Therefore, one must seek that place from which, having gone, one never returns, and there surrender to that Supreme Personality of the Godhead from whom everything began and from whom everything has extended since time immemorial. Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are free from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who, unbewildered, know how to surrender unto Supreme Person, attain to that eternal kingdom. That supreme adab of mind is not illuminated by the sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return to this material world. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. The living entity in the material world carries different conception of life from one body to another. As the ear carries aroma, thus he takes one kind of body and again quit it to take another. The living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtain a certain type of eye, ear, nose, tongue, sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense object. The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoyed under the spell of the mode of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this. The endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization can see all this clearly, but those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try to. The splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of this whole world, comes from me, and the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire also come from me. I enter into each planet and my energy, they stay in orbit. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetable. I am the fire of digestion in the body of all living entity, and I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the four kind of food stuff. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am compiler of Vedanta, and I am knower of the Vedas. There are two classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every living entity is called infallible. Beside these two, there is greatest living personality, the Supreme Soul, the imperishable Lord Himself, who has entered the three worlds and is maintaining them. Because I am transcendental, beyond both the fallible and infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as the Supreme Person. Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of the Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata. This is the most confidential part of Vedic scripture, O sinless one, and it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection. Chapter 16. The Divine and Demonic Nature. The Supreme Personality of the Godhead said, fearless, purification of one's existence, cultivation of spiritual knowledge, charity, self-control, performance of sacrifice, study of the Vedas, austerity, simplicity, non-violence, truthfulness, freedom from anger, renunciation, tranquility, aversion of fault-finding, compassion for all living entities, freedom from covetousness, gentleness, modesty, steady determination, vigor, forgiveness, fortitude, cleanliness, and freedom from envy and from the passion for honor. These transcendental qualities, O son of Bharata, belong to godly man endowed with divine nature. Pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness, and ignorance, these qualities belong to those of demonic nature, O son of Pratha. The transcendental qualities are conducive to liberation, whereas the demoniac qualities make for bondage. Don't worry, O son of Pandu, for you are born with the divine qualities. O son of Pratha, in this world there are two kinds of created beings. One is called the divine and the other demoniac. I have already explained to you at length the divine quality. Now hear from me of the demoniac. Those who are demoniac do not know what is to be done and what is not to be done. Neither cleanliness nor proper behavior nor truth is found in them. They say that this world is unreal, without no foundation, no God in control. They say it is produced of sex desire and has no cause other than lust. Following such conclusion, the demoniac, who are lost to themselves and who have no intelligence, engage in unbeneficial, horrible work meant to destroy the world. Taking shelter of insatiable lust and absorbed in the conceit of pride and false prestige, the demoniac, thus illusion, are always shown to unclean work, attracted by the impermanent. They believe that to gratify the sense is the prime necessity of human civilization. Thus, until the end of life, their anxiety is immeasurable. Bound by a network of hundreds of thousands of desire and absorbed in lust and anger, they secure money by illegal means for sense gratification. The demoniac person thinks, so much wealth do I have today, and I will gain more according to my schemes. So much is mine now, and it will increase in future more and more. He is my enemy, and I have killed him, and many other enemies will also be killed. I am the Lord of everything. I am the enjoyer. I am perfect, powerful, and happy. I am the richest man, surrounded by aristocratic relatives. There is no one so powerful and happy as me. I shall perform sacrifices, I shall give some charity, and thus I shall rejoice. In this way, such persons are deluded by ignorance. Thus, perplexed by various anxieties and bound by a network of illusion, they become too strongly attached to sense enjoyment and fall down into hell. Self-complacent and always impudent, deluded by wealth and false prestige, they sometimes proudly perform sacrifices in names only, without following any rules or regulation. Bewildered by false ego, strength, pride, lust, and anger, the demons become envious of the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, which is situated in their own bodies and in the bodies of others. And bewildered by the false ego, strength, pride, lust, and anger, the demons become envious of the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, which is situated in their own bodies and in the bodies of others, and blasphemy against the real religion. Those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, I perpetually cast into the ocean of material existence, into various demonic species of life. Attaining repeated birth among the species of demonic life, O son of Kunti, such person can never approach me. Gradually, they sink down into the most abominable type of existence. There are 3 gates leading to this hell: lust, anger, and greed. Every sane man should give these up, for they lead to the degradation of the soul. The man who has escaped these 3 gates of hell, O son of Kunti, perform act conducive to self-realization and thus gradually attain the supreme destination. He who discards spiritual injunctions and act according to his own whims attain neither perfection nor happiness nor supreme destination. One should therefore understand what is duty and what is not the duty by the regulation of the scripture. Knowing such rules and regulation, one should act so that he may gradually be elevated. Chapter 17. The Division of Faith. Arjuna inquired, O Krishna, what is the situation of those who do not follow the principle of scripture but worship according to their own imagination? Are they in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance? The Supreme Personality of the Godhead said, according to the modes of nature inquired by the embodied soul, one's faith can be all 3 kinds: in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance. Now hear about this. O son of Bharata, according to one's existence under the various modes of nature, one evolves a particular kind of faith. The living being is said to be of particular faith according to the modes he has acquired. Men in the mode of goodness worship the demigod, those in the mode of passion worship the demon, and those in the mode of ignorance worship ghosts and spirits. Those who undergo severe austerities and penance not recommended in this scripture, performing them out of pride and egoism, who are impelled by lust and attachment, who are foolish and who torture the material element of the body as well as the supreme soul dwelling within, are to be known as demons. Even the food each person prefers is of 3 kinds according to the 3 modes of material nature. The same is true of sacrifice, austerities, and charity. Now hear of the distinction between them. Foods dear to those in the mode of goodness increase the duration of life, purify one's existence, and give strength, health, happiness, and satisfaction. Such foods are juicy, fatty, wholesome, and pleasing to the heart. Food that are too bitter, too sour, too salty, hot, pungent, dry and burning are dear to those in the mode of passion. Such foods cause distress, misery and disease. Food prepared more than 3 hours before being eaten, food that is tasteless, decomposed and putrid, and food consisting of remnants and untouchable thing is dear to those in the mode of darkness. Of sacrifices, the sacrifice performed according to the direction of Scripture as matter of duty by those who desire no reward is of the nature of goodness. But the sacrifice performed for some material benefit or for the sake of pride, O chief of the Bharatas, you should know to be in the mode of passion. Any sacrifice performed without regard for the direction of Scripture, without discrimination of prasadam, that is spiritual food, without chanting of Vedic hymns and remuneration of the priest, and without faith is considered to be of the mode of ignorance. Austerity of the body consists in worship of the Supreme Lord, the Brahmanas, the spiritual master, and superiors like the father and mother, and in cleanliness, simplicity, celibacy, and non-violence. Austerity of speech consists in speaking words that are truthful, pleasing, beneficial, and not agitating to other, and also in regularly reciting Vedic literature. And satisfaction, simplicity, gravity, self-control, and purification of one's existence are the austerities of mind. This threefold austerity, performed with transcendental faith by man, not expecting material benefit but engaged only for the sake of Supreme, is called austerity in goodness. Penance performed out of pride and for the sake of gaining respect, honor, and worship is said to be in the mode of passion. It is neither stable nor permanent. Penance performed out of foolishness with self-torture or to destroy or injure others is said to be the mode of ignorance. Charity given out of duty without expectation of return at the proper time and place and to a worthy person is considered to be the mode of goodness. But charity performed with the expectation of some return or with a desire of fruitive result or in a grudging mood is said to be the charity in the mood of passion. And charity performed at an impure place at improper time to unworthy person or without proper attention and respect is said to be in the mode of ignorance. For the beginning of creation, the three words Om Tat Sat were used to indicate the supreme absolute truth. These three symbolic representations were used by Brahmanas while chanting the hymns of the Veda and during the sacrifice for the satisfaction of the Supreme. Therefore, transcendentalists undertaking performance of the sacrifice, charity and penance in accordance with the scriptural regulation begin always with Om to attain the Supreme. Without desiring fruitive result, one should perform various kinds of sacrifice, penance and charity with the world thought the purpose of such transcendental activities is to get free from material entanglement. The absolute truth is the objective of devotional sacrifice and it is indicated by the word Sat. The performer of such sacrifice is called Sat, and as all work of sacrifice, penance and charity which true to the absolute nature are performed to please the Supreme Person, O son of Pratha. Anything done as sacrifice, charity or penance without faith in the Supreme, O son of Pratha, is impermanent. It is called Asat and is useless both in this life and the next. Chapter 18, Conclusion, the Perfection of Renunciation. Arjuna said, O mighty armed one, I wish to understand the purpose of renunciation, Tyaga, and the renounced order of life, Sannyasa, O killer of Keshi demon, master of the sense. The Supreme Personality of the Godhead said, giving up activities that are based on material desire is what great learned man called the renounced order of life, Sannyasa, and giving up the result of all activities is what the wise call renunciation, Tyaga. Some learned men declare that all kind of fruitive activities should be given up as faulty, yet other sages maintain the act of sacrifice, charity and penance should never be abandoned. O best of the Bharatas, now hear my judgment about renunciation. O tiger among men, renunciation is declared in the scripture to be of three kinds. Act of sacrifice, charity and penance are not to be given up, they must be performed. Indeed, sacrifice, charity and penance purify even the great souls. All these activities should be performed without attachment or any expectation of result. They should be performed as a master of duty, O son of Pratha. That is my final opinion. Prescribed duties should never be renounced. If one gives up his prescribed duties because of illusion, such renunciation is said to be of the mode of ignorance. Anyone who gives up prescribed duties as troublesome or out of fear of bodily discomfort is said to have renounced in the mode of passion. Such action never leads to the elevation of renunciation. O Arjuna, one who performs his prescribed duty only because it ought to be done and renounces all material association and all attachment to the fruit, his renunciation is said to be in the mode of goodness. The intelligent renouncer, situated in the mode of goodness, neither hateful of unauspicious work nor attached to auspicious work, has no doubt about work. It is indeed impossible for an embodied being to give up all activities, but he who renounces the fruit of action is one who has truly renounced. For one who is not renounced the threefold fruits of action, desirable, undesirable, and mixed, occur after death. But those who are in renounced order of life have no such result or suffer or enjoy. O mighty arm Arjuna, according to the Vedanta, there are 5 causes for the accomplishment of all action. Now learn of these from me. The place of action, the body, the performer, the various senses, the many different kind of endeavor, and ultimately the Supreme Soul. These are the 5 factors of action. Whatever right or wrong action or man performed by body, mind, or speech is caused by these 5 factors. Therefore, one who thinks about the only doer, not considering the 5 factors, is certainly not very intelligent and cannot see things as they are. One who is not motivated by false ego, whose intelligence is not entangled, though he kills man in this world, doesn't kill, nor is bounded by his action. Knowledge, the object of knowledge, and the knower are the 3 factors that motivate action. The sense, the work, and the doer are the 3 constituents of actions. According to these 3 different modes of material nature, there are 3 kinds of knowledge, action, and performer of action. Now hear of them from me. That knowledge by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all living entities, though they are divided into innumerable forms, you should understand to be in the mode of goodness. That knowledge by which one sees that in every different body there is a different type of living entity, you should understand to be in the mode of passion. And that knowledge by which one is attached to one kind of work as the all in all without knowledge of truth, and which is very meager, is said to be in the mode of darkness. That action which is regulated and which is performed without attachment, without love or hatred, and without desire for fruitive result is said to be in the mode of goodness. But action performed with great effort by one seeking to gratify his desire and intacted from a sense of false ego is called action in the mode of passion. That action performed in illusion, in disregard of scriptural injunction, and without concern for future bondage or for violence or distress caused to others is said to be in the mode of ignorance. One who performs his duty without association with the mode of material nature, without false ego, with great determination and enthusiasm, and without wavering in success or failure is said to be a worker in the mode of goodness. The worker who is attached to work and fruits of work, desiring to enjoy these fruits, who is greedy, always envious, impure, and moved by joy and sorrow is said to be in the mode of passion. The worker who is always engaged in work against the injunction of scripture, who is materialistic, obstinate, cheating, and expert in insulting others, who is lazy, always morose, and procrastinating is said to be a worker in the mode of ignorance. O winner of wealth, now please listen as I tell you in detail of different kind of understanding and determination according to the 3 modes of material nature. O son of Pratha, that understanding by which one knows what ought to be done and what ought not to be done, what is to be feared and what is not to be feared, what is binding and what is liberating, is in the mode of goodness. O son of Pratha, that understanding which cannot distinguish between religion and irreligion, between action that should be done and the action that should not be, is in the mode of passion. That understanding which consider irreligion to be religion and religion to be irreligion, under the spell of illusion and darkness, and strive always in the wrong direction, O Pratha, is in the mode of ignorance. O son of Pratha, the determination which is unbreakable, which is sustained with steadfastness by yoga practice, and which thus control the activities of mind, life, and senses, is determination in the mode of goodness. But the determination by which one holds fast to fruitive result in religion, economic development, and sense gratification is of the nature of passion, O Arjuna. And the determination which cannot go beyond dreaming, fearfulness, lamentation, morosence, and illusion, such unintelligent determination, O son of Pratha, is in the mode of darkness. O best of the Bharatas, now please hear from me about the three kinds of happiness by which the conditional soul enjoys and by which he sometimes comes to the end of all distress. That which is in the beginning may be just like poison, but at the end is just like nectar, which awakens one to self-realization, is said to be happiness in the mode of goodness. That happiness which is derived from the contact of the senses with their object and which appears like nectar at the first but poison at the end is said to be the nature of passion. And that happiness which is blind to self-realization, which is delusion from beginning to end and which arises from sleep, laziness and illusion is said to be the nature of ignorance. There is no being existing either here or among the demigod in the higher planetary system which is free from these three modes born of material nature. Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Sudras are distinguished by the qualities born of their own nature in accordance with the material modes, O chastiser of the enemy. Peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom and religiousness. These are the natural quality by which the Brahmanas work. Heroism, power, determination, resourcefulness, courage in battle, generosity and leadership are the natural qualities of the work for the Kshatriyas. Farming, cow protection and business are the natural work for the Vaishyas, and for Shudra there are labor and service to others. By following his qualities of work, every man can become perfect. Now please hear from me how this can be done. By the worship of the Lord, who is the source of all living being and who is all pervading, a man can attain perfection through performing his own work. It is better to engage in one's own occupation even though one may perform it imperfectly than to accept others' occupation and perform it perfectly. Duties prescribed according to one's nature are never affected by sinful reaction. Every endeavor is covered by some fault, just as fire is covered by smoke. Therefore, one should not give up the work born of his own nature, O son of Kunti, even if such work is full of fault. One who is self-controlled and unattached and who disregards all material enjoyment can obtain by practice of renunciation the highest perfect stage of freedom from reaction. O son of Kunti, learn from me how one has achieved this perfection can attain to the supreme perfection stage, Brahmana, the stage of highest knowledge, by acting in the way I shall now summarize. Being purified by his intelligence and controlling the mind with determination, giving up the object of sense gratification, being freed from attachment and hatred, one who lives in a secluded place, who eats little, who controls his body, mind and power of speech, who is always in trance and who is detached, free from false ego, false strength, false pride, lust, anger and acceptance of material things, free from false proprietorship and peaceful, such a person is certainly elevated to the position of self-realization. One who is thus transcendentally situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed towards every living entity. In that stage, he attains pure devotional service unto me. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is full consciousness of me by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. Though engaged in all kinds of activities, my pure devotee under my protection reaches the eternal and imperishable adab by my grace. In all activities, just depend upon me and work always under my protection in such devotional service. Be fully conscious of me. If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacle of conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost. If you do not act according to my direction and do not fight, then you will be falsely directed. By your nature, you will have to be engaged in warfare. Under illusion, you are now declining to act according to my direction, but compelled by the work born of your own nature, you will act all the time, O son of Kunti. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wandering of all living entities who are seated as a machine made of the material energy. O scion of the Bharata, surrender unto him utterly. By his grace you will attain transcendental peace and the supreme and eternal adab. Thus, I have explained to you knowledge still more confidential. Deliberate on this fully and then do what you wish to do. Because you are my very dear friend, I am speaking to you my supreme instruction, the most confidential knowledge of all. Hear this from me, for it is for your benefit. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this, because you are my very dear friend. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear. This confidential knowledge may never be explained to those who are not astray or devoted or engaged in devotional service, not to one who is envious of me. For one who explains this supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there be one more dear. And I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation of ours worship me by his intelligence. O son of Pratha, O conqueror of wealth, have you heard this with an attentive mind? And are your ignorance and illusion now dispelled? Arjuna said, My dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt, and I am prepared to act according to your instructions. Sanjaya said, Thus have I heard the conversation of two great souls, Krishna and Arjuna, and so wonderful is that message that my ear is standing on end. By mercy of Vasha, I have heard this most confidential talk directly from the master of all mysticism, Krishna, who was speaking personally to Arjuna. O King, as I repeatedly recall these wondrous and holy dialogues between Krishna and Arjuna, I take pleasure, being thrilled at every moment. O King, I remember the wonderful form of Lord Krishna. I am struck with wonder more and more, and I rejoice again and again. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and mortality. That is my opinion.